careers available with fire protection. I thought firefighting was like the only thing involving fighting fires. And so I was also unaware that fire protection engineering was a field you could study. And I wasn't quite sure how this field would exactly fit into the insurance environment. And prior to actually beginning, I did some research and I felt like this internship was more for civil engineers or fire protection engineers. So I was very uncertain about how I would fit in as a mechanical engineer. But with that uncertainty, I was definitely looking forward to challenges to see how I fit in exactly. So just some general observations I made about the company culture. I believe it was the first week of when I started here, Kristen mentioned that you guys are a department family and you guys are very close and you know each other a lot, and I feel like that really strengthens the team as a whole. And in general, XL Catlin, I noticed, has a very good work-life balance where you can make your family a priority, but you're still able to stay on top of workflow. And I was also interested in the different types of communication you have here. You have emails and you can talk on the phone, but I was also blindsided, I guess, by instant messaging systems and video conferencing that you guys do.
Screen sharing.
And screen sharing, yes, that's another thing. And so, one major style that I did a lot of my learning was hands-on. I spent a lot of time in the back cave, and I became very friendly with the scanner and the folding machine within like the first week. And then eventually, as you guys know, I started learning how to calibrate pressure gauges for field engineers. And then I also, when I'm not in the back cave, I'm hiding in my cube working on computer projects and learning how to use Microsoft programs. I became very comfortable with like Excel, PowerPoint, and I also learned how to use Visio. And then I was very excited to learn how to use AutoCAD to draw maps and things like that. And then some of the classroom learning styles, Pete had me do a good amount of reading on automatic sprinkler systems, smoke management systems, and then Kristen has also given me the firefighting book, which took me forever to actually start reading, but I did enjoy reading it. And then throughout the internship, or the beginning, John Frank had me updating PowerPoints for a professional engineering exam review session, and after completing those, he invited me to sit in on the webinar so I can be exposed to more information about fire protection and also kind of get a view as to what a professional engineering exam would be like. And then also in the beginning of the internship, Cindy and Brenda took me out to the New York City office where I got to kind of witness a risk consultant being trained, and I got an introduction to the database that you guys use, and I also got to see some of the responsibilities that a risk consultant takes up. So career, as I mentioned earlier, career paths was very interesting to me. I only thought firefighting was an option, but Pete has shown me some of the research side to it, and Alan has kind of walked me through what being an insurance field engineer is like, where things are different every day, you're exploring different areas, and Pete and Alan combined have both kind of given me an introduction to what volunteering in a firehouse is like. And so, hearing about the different positions and scheduling and what being on call is like, and all the cool fire department stories that I hear from them. And so, learning about fire protection itself and the fundamentals with it was very exciting. I now have a stronger grip on what fire is and some of the basic gas and heat flows and pressure changes when a fire occurs. And then I also learned the differences between the types of detection systems, smoke detection and heat detection. And then also learning about the different protection systems, such as automatic sprinklers and smoke ventilation, and what kind of considerations are put into the design process. So here is a list of all the projects and assignments that I've worked on. So the configuration factor was one of the first projects I worked on with John Frank. It was, I was helping him kind of calculate a safe workspace around a dust exploding fireball. And I thought that was really cool to be able to, right off the bat, kind of start using my engineering analysis skills. And then Renee has given me multiple Excel assignments where I'd help her kind of match up account information with the account number, or locations with account numbers, and then I'd also help her with finding hurricane geolocations and determining what kind of what kind of companies or countries are being affected by hurricanes what kind of countries are being affected by hurricanes. And then Steve Behrens pushed me into learning how to use Visio, and I created that flow chart for the process that mapped out the process of how reports go through gaps, which gave me kind of a cool overview of report flows. And as I mentioned earlier, I was very excited to use AutoCAD, being able to draw out like a couple maps, and I became very comfortable with updating PowerPoints to Excel. So here is a list of all the different site visits I got to go on along with you guys. First site visit I went on was with Pete over to Georgia Pacific, Gypsum Board Company. We kind of went there to see if part of the facility could be considered a masonry, so that way it could comply with the new state laws being enforced where all commercial buildings are supposed to be sprinklered. And then on July 14th, I went to an airplane hangar for Liberty Mutual where I got to witness the foam testing where they pumped out highly expansive foam, and I thought it was really cool just watching it kind of come down and watching it actually expand, and the smell of it was like soap, and it was cool. And then I went back to Georgia Pacific with Alan to perform my first survey with them, and we kind of just looked at the sprinkler systems, got a nice tour of the operation or the flow of the facility, and then I also got to witness a hydrant flow test where the system was kind of looped, and so they opened up one hydrant, put a pressure gauge on another one to kind of determine the flow of water coming out of there. And then the following day, I met up with Pete in Rhode Island at the FM Global Laboratory, where I got to see a cool fire of lithium-ion batteries, and the thing was really hot. And just being able to kind of watch it burn was really cool. And then going to Cummins Corporation last week was really exciting. There they make protection equipment for offshore drilling, and I thought it was really cool kind of seeing how they had like a lot of chemical storages, and I thought it was kind of cool to check that out just because the China chemical explosion happened the week before. I thought it was a good follow-up. And then the day after, I went with Pete down a leisureful boat ride down the Connecticut River to kind of look at the flood protection we have in Hartford. And I also got a brief introduction to the history of flooding in Hartford. And so from these site visits, I enjoyed being able to see how field engineers represent the insurance company when they're interacting with clients. And then I also enjoyed witnessing the different types of tests because it kind of put what I'm learning on the spot, making observations, trying to identify if like systems are working properly. And then I also enjoyed being exposed to the different facilities. That was cool seeing how different things were being made and how the flow of operations goes throughout the different types of facilities. And so this whole internship is definitely going to help me within the next couple of semesters. Learning about the fundamentals of fire protection gave me a good introduction to fluid dynamics, thermodynamics, the way that heat and mass kind of transfers during a fire, and also introduced me to some of the general design processes and all of those subjects are definitely going to be like the center of attention for the next couple semesters that I'll be taking. And then Pete has also given me a good talking to about the different types of engineering certifications that I should consider going for senior year, so it kind of helps me get an idea as to what kinds of exams I should be looking to prep up for around that. And so after graduating, I'm hoping to join the workforce, so that way I can get like a couple of years under my belt before I determine what kind of master's program I want to pursue. I'm hoping to kind of look more into a technical field, and this internship has definitely opened my eyes to fire protection being a potential career that I can go down in the future.
Told you.
And so I just want to thank you guys a lot. You've all been excellent mentors to me and always been there to help me out whenever I needed it or had any questions, no matter how ridiculous they may be. And thanks. Do you have any questions?
I know the summer started off a little bit slow when you first started here because we kind of weren't ready for you.
Right.
But overall, do you think it was beneficial to your educational and career development to spend the summer here?
Definitely.
Good. Good. So it wasn't a waste of your time, it wasn't a waste of ours.
No, definitely not.
Good.
And this was the first summer job you had outside of the other jobs at the
Right.
places?
This is the first actual internship I've had.
Wow, that's great. Okay.
I think this is a fun one. Kind of set the bar high for other internships though. So
Prior to coming to the internship, how many presentations have you done?
well, in high school I've taken a business communications class where like I would continuously give presentations, and so I think I've had like a total of 10 in high school, and in college I've had I think only 2.
Okay, and how many have you had it during these 6-8 weeks?
3.
3?
3.
And some practices.
And some
Practices, and you
right.
went to
And you helped
Toastmasters.
out.
And Toastmasters.
So that was good.
So I definitely got a lot of speech practice, which I think is
And,
great.
and the reason why I ask you to do this is the more times you get up in front of people and have to give presentations, the more comfortable you get.
Right.
And yes, it will be coming natural after a while.
I mean, in comparison to maybe the first presentation I give, I definitely feel more comfortable being up here talking in front of you. Well, I am a lot closer with you guys compared to the other people I've had to give presentations to, but yeah, I definitely don't feel like crying while standing there.
So that was a prior feeling.
One time. I've done that during a speech. I've cried.
Did you add the illustrations and pictures throughout the?
Yes.
They were really good. I thought they were really well designed. You know, good.
Well,
It went well with the text.
thanks. Well, for this slide, I had a kind of a humorous picture, but my dad advised me not to. It's a picture of like a dog riding a bike tricycle, and then it has like a cat bouncing on its head, balancing like mice outside, like juggling.
For us, it would have been fine.
Yeah.
Maybe
Right.
for other people.
Well, I was taking note of my audience. I figured you guys would appreciate it.
Yeah.
So I figured safe and sorry. So.
If you wanted to save this and look back at it in the future,
You could add
wanna slap yourself in the forehead.
Google Earth on here too, because remember you did the
Oh, that's
fracking pinpoints, and you learned how to draw the circles,
Yeah.
the fracking and the explosions in China
Right.
too. So you learned how to use that, pull
I
in the
like using
data.
Google Earth a lot.
Yeah,
That was cool.
yeah, it is pretty cool.
Found my house.
Yeah, you definitely get sucked in and sidetracked when you start
Right.
wasting time because it's so cool. And you go, oh, I've got work to do. So I did what I needed to do, now I have to go back to work.
Right.
It's also
I
great
love maps.
with you guys with the plan department because you can measure out buildings and whatnot with the ruler,
Yeah.
which is great.
I've actually seen one of those cars drive around like a Subaru wagon
Yep.
with the big tower and the
Yep.
weird looking
Yeah.
camera.
Oh, really?
Already
Yeah,
saw it.
I saw
It looks
one-
like the size of
I
a
saw
soccer
one
ball with all these lenses on it.
Right,
Yeah.
right down here, coming down Market Street one day.
Really. Yeah, they're interesting.
Yeah.
I always wave to them.
You should do
Hope that
weird
you're
things
on
when
one.
you see it.
I'm TV.
Yeah, right.
Good job, Evie.
Yeah, very good.
I did notice a couple of typos in your